you want to listen to over and over and over again. You know why? Because we coming all the way from a wonderful place in the world. So get ready. Don't go anywhere. Share the link, share the page. Let others also join and then benefit from the wisdom nuggets we are going to discuss or where we're going to discuss or share today. Were you here last week? If you were here last week, let me know. If you were not here last week, yeah. There is something wonderful we took home last week with our hashtag for the episode. Last week's episode was speaking from your heart when we dealt with public speaking and content creation. Today is another thing. It's another a level altogether. You want to witness today's episode. So get the link to someone who's not yet joined us. Let them join us. Right after the break, I'm going to introduce to you our speaker for today, our guest for today, and make your questions and get your questions ready. And let's be interactive. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. I'll be back to do the introduction of our guest for today.
Need a spark to kickstart your innovation? Looking for thought and talks to get things moving? Wondering how to navigate a future full of change and uncertainty? With the eye-opening stories of digital disruption, extreme customer centricity, organizational innovation, and global shift, our collective of speakers, MCs, and moderators will shift your perspective. Meet our speakers. For booking and interviews, contact us on 0246 054092 or send us a mail info.accessnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on all social media channels at AccessNet Global, African Seasoned Speakers Network, influencing the next generation of Africans.
Influencing the next generation of Africans, that's what we stand for, and that's what we want to get by bringing to you wonderful speakers all around the world, not just Africa, but anywhere in the world that want to present their topic or discussion to wonderful people like you and I watching now. Thank you so much for joining again. It's a Power and Pursuit Show. My name is Ahmad Benjamin. And then to our guests for today. Let someone also join. Let somebody join today's episode because it's going to be a wonderful episode. And I'm ready. Right. Our guest for today. Joining us all the way from India. Our guest is a wonderful person that wants to share with us some beautiful wisdom nuggets. We're going to talk about mental health and wellness. Now, our guest is a former senior UN official, and our guest is currently the founder of Creative Expression. Our guest have done a lot of works with the UN, has done a lot of work with children, especially on mental health issues, on wellness, on being able to keep to studying, and then a little bit of protection online. This wonderful person is joining us for the very first time on the Power Impact series, all the way from India. Her pictures are scrolling or rolling on the screens now. Ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time on the Power Impact Series show, help me welcome, first time on the show, no other person than Shailza Taneja, all the way from India. How are you, Shailza? How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Thank you so much. First of all, namaste from India to everyone. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you from whichever part of the world you are connected to us and you're listening to us. A very much warm welcome to all of you on this show. And Benjamin is definitely a very, very good host. I'm observing him for last few shows and it's really nice and an honor to be here. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you so much. It's so good. So good. Good to have you here. And then, yeah, thank you so much also for following. We are so grateful to have you here on the show. Right. So I just give a little intro about you. But you know what? You are here in the studio. So we want to hear from you. Who is Shailza? And that and viewers, before we go on, the meaning of her name is strong determination. So her life has been that of strong determination from birth to now, and she keeps on going. So we have her here. We have her
Thank
here,
you.
a woman with that strong determination to make an impact in her world, make an impact wherever she finds herself. And all her life, all she's done is creating impact. And then with that determination that she has, she keeps breaking barriers today. So you are here. We want to find out who you are. Tell us about yourself so that we can really relate and then follow other nuggets we're going to share with us today. You are here. So tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Benjamin. If I say in one word, if I have to describe in one word, Shelza. Shelza is creative. Creative is my expression to express myself. Who am I? And as you correctly mentioned, the meaning of my name is a person who is strongly determined, highly determined. So these two words, determination and creative, describes me very well. If I talk about my professional journey, it's been like 20 to 25 years I have been working as while doing my studies in my college. I was very much determined, I must say, to learn and to earn.
To
So
learn and to earn.
learn and earn, yes. So as soon as I was 18 years old, I was very much, kind of focused that I will not be any kind of a burden on my parents anymore. So I will do my own earnings and I will spend my earning on my learning, basically. So from there, I started my journey of grooming myself as a very strong professional, and I'm really blessed that I could actually cover a lot of areas during this beautiful 25 years of my professional journey. It is started like I started with the private sector basically, and from there I got an opportunity to work with the United Nations, and I worked with the UN almost for 2 decades, on and off, on and off. And that also gave me a very good opportunity to connect with people at various levels. I was also deputed once to work with the Ministry of Health in India, uh, and also I got an opportunity to work with NGOs, with CBOs, with communities, with private organizations, with some of the CSR initiatives in India. So it is a complete holistic kind of a approach which I took because I wanted to see the world and the issues and the problems, how we can address it from different angles. If I would have worked with just one of the organization, it's like, grass at the other end looks very different. But when you go there, it's the same. So it's basically perception completely. And I was very much, you can say, uh, willing to explore the world, how things are impacting people when we see the grassroots, the last mile, what are their challenges. So I never said no to the opportunity, which was challenging definitely, but as I said, my heart is very much connected to people. From a very very simple background I come from, a very basic, you know, humanity roots I carry along with me. And I would also like to share with you all that when I started my career with the private sector, it was a banking job basically to begin with, and I was doing very well, being awarded at the age of 20. for the kind of northern region telemarketing and operations and those things. I remember, and this is very much important to share, at the age of 20, when everybody was celebrating my success of being, the highest, uh, a kind of a performer, basically high performer, for the northern region India, for American Express Bank. We had a, a kind of a DSA for retail banking at that time. Somewhere I was feeling that this is not what I'm born to do,
mm,
and I really wanted to find out an answer, that what gives me happiness, what is it, because today I should be happy if I am acknowledged as a high performer. Everybody is celebrating it
right,
like a party. Why I'm
right.
not happy within myself? And you won't believe, Benjamin, every time when I ask this question to myself, there was one clear vision I always had. I always used to see that there are people who are in pain. And I used to run to them, touch them, and bring smiles on their faces. This one vision kept on coming to me every now and then, and that has actually kept me more closely attached and committed to serve communities and serve humanity. And this is what kept me connected to the development sector in the last 20 years. So that is what Shelza is all about.
That's what Shailza is all about. Yes, her willingness to help communities. Yes, I'm quenching. And that is it. That's it here. All right. So, what were some of the works that you did at the UN? What were some of the things that you did during your time? You were about over 2 decades there. What were some of the things you did whilst you were at the UN?
Okay. So, the most beautiful thing of that part, if I say, that allowed me to work with various UN agencies, first of all.
Right.
And I was enjoying my contractual kind of a, arrangement with different agencies. That gave me an overview of different projects also. I worked
Okay.
majorly on HIV area.
Okay.
I also worked on maternal and child health. I worked on knowledge management, uh, the, uh, the drug abuse program as well, the drug control program as well. So it was actually preparing me from different aspects, to gather a good knowledge about public health. It also gave me an opportunity to work in the area of water and sanitation and hygiene. And this was a kind of a CSR project which I worked with, and it gave me an opportunity to connect very differently with
Right.
women who were having sanitation issues and problems, which were not addressed that much, because that time the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan had just started in our country. It was Clean India Initiative. So that is also a very good opportunity, which um I still, it's very close to my heart till date. That was a time when I went there and I lived with them for a few
Right.
days. I've used to fall sick every now and then. I used to take some antibiotics because the kind of places, the kind of situations, the kind of conditions they were living into. When I went to their level, when I spent time with them, when I lived with them, then only I could understand how difficult their life is and the challenges of women and girls in the area of sanitation issues. And then what I wrote was completely different. What we can write while sitting in the AC rooms, you know. So, so
I get
that's
you.
the
I get
difference.
you.
That's the difference, Benjamin. When we work with our heart, when our heart is involved, when our creativity is flowing, that's the right kind of a outcome that we offer to the world. That's a real side of us that we offer to the world.
That's a real side of us that we offer to the world. When we get to touch base with the realities on the ground, that is when we give or offer to the world what we're supposed to do. Right. So in all these things that you encountered, that you saw, that you experienced, how do we blend that into what we want to talk about today? Mental health and wellness.
So, I would like to share an overall experience where I'm coming from and why this particular subject is close to my heart. I work very closely and very deeply felt connected to children basically throughout my journey in different projects. I worked on one of the projects run by Clinton Foundation for diarrhea management. That gave me a very serious sense of understanding that it's a very simple thing which can be addressed with ORS and zinc basically. But a lot of children die at the age of 0 to 5 years just because of diarrhea, and it is preventable, which can be taken care of slowly and gradually. I got connected to the children who were living in orphanages. That kept me more connected to people, and I started spending time with elderly people who were abandoned, uh, orphan and abandoned basically. While spending time with them and also understanding the pain areas in different communities, working with sex workers and the people living with HIV, the women living with HIV, the kind of stigma and discrimination they go through, that actually opened the doors of my heart in a very different manner. It was not just the work after that. It was a very different commitment to work, and to change something for them. And then from there, I took an individual initiative of working with the women, vulnerable women from vulnerable communities living with HIV. Some of them are hidden sex workers. They don't want to share their status because definitely, they will have to be uh, like facing stigma and discrimination in their regular life. And then I came up with a kind of a expression, I must say, where through colors and through art, I started healing them.
Wow.
And if you tell anybody normally that colors are therapeutic, let's use this, nobody will take it seriously.
At all, because when
Not
you
at
tell me
all.
colors,
Not at all.
how
Not at
how is
all.
colors going to feel?
Exactly. You know what? When we talk about our expression, Benjamin, the kind of colors, the kind of patterns we draw, the kind of pictures people draw. So, through art, any form of art, a person's mental state comes at surface. So, when we talk about mental health, we cannot restrict it to any age group. Whether you talk about children, whether you talk about adolescent, whether you talk about elderly people, or you talk about youth, there is no single category who is not affected by mental health. Uh, I have read some WHO's reports on mental health. It says that almost one third of our population has somewhere affected and impacted by mental health disorders, a different kind of mental health disorder. It can be anxiety, it can be personality disorder, it can be depression, it can be schizophrenia. There are several variations basically and different levels of mental illness that people may have unknowingly, which is unaddressed. And and it can be identified at a very very initial stage. As a parent, if we talk to our child, if we are observant enough, the symptoms and the signs can be observed at a very initial stage. And that is why I mentioned about creativity. If you've heard of when a child is small, he or she is given a lot of kind of coloring books, activities, uh, to allow the child to express,
Right.
because when we
Right.
express, we actually unblock our real side, our real potential, and our mental, and it is good for our mental development, right?
Right. Right.
So when for a child we talk about that this is good for our mental health, why do we forget being an elder?
Mm.
The same, it is actually the root. It is the root of being human. That really, that's how it heals, that's how it helps. And when I met some of the people in orphanages, there were childhood traumas, there were
Okay.
abuse. Some of the girls were sexual abuse victims,
Okay.
and and then they lose their mental balance
Okay.
after. So when I was going through these kind of experiences, it was not at all easy to remain untouched. This actually shakes you up and wakes you up, and you feel like talking about this, that yes, this is a serious situation which is very much unaddressed. And I'll share one more important thing with you all. uh, I wrote, I'm very fond of writing poetries. Basically, that's my creative expression. So I write poetries, I write books, I do paintings, and I do a little bit of coaster art to keep our Indian ancient arts alive. So I do various forms of arts on small coasters, basically. And through my poetry, I could actually express. And one of my poetry was observed on the Mental Health Day last year by the UN headquarter, which was 3rd October 22. So again, I would say that this is how we observe and how we absorb things and how we actually reflect it to the world. So my creative expression helped me to help people to address some of the issues. We have an NGO in India called Cry, and one of my poetry was a face of their campaign, which is periods no shame.
Wow. Wow. Let me just give shout out to those who join us online. So let me know if you are here with me. Get to the chat area. Let me know who is online with me, where you're joining us from, and how the discussion is going so far for you. Right. So if you actually work with you, says very critical discussion. Thank you so much for joining. And then my main man, Cola Nut, says mental health indeed starts from childhood. And it's important that children be given a chance to express themselves any way they can through play and drawing. Thank you so much, Kola. And Kola is into a lot of philanthropical activities, doing a lot of things with children. So I think Kola resonates with what you're talking about and what he's sharing with us. He perfectly understands you. And he says, congrats on your poem being taken by the United Nations. Please share your poem. She will share the poem. Don't worry, Kola. He wants Shailza to share the poem with us. Thank you so much. So let me know
Definitely.
who's here. Let
We
me know
will
who's
drop the
online with
link.
me. Yeah, you can drop a link. Yes, we can take it up from there, and then we can share it, we can read it, we can cite it, and try to look like you. Right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing with us this intro. Yeah. So just a quick one. How the colors. You see, sometimes when you go to children hospitals or children clinics, you get to find some funny colors, funny paintings. Sometimes you really don't understand why do we have this kind of paintings here and all those things. But you made mention of a point that healing with colors. How do you do that, or how is that being done? I mean, I want to understand it how therapeutic it is to use colors. Colors. How do you do that?
Yes. See, when we talk about mental health, if you understand the key factors which are definitely contributing more seriously is, uh, you know, lack of self care basically. Then we can see the lack of social support, like someone is isolated, or emotionally not available, those kind of things. And stress. And I'm just talking about factors. We'll come to the colors to address this. Emotional, there's a imbalance basically. Then we talk about the unhealthy habits. Everything, these are all contributing to the mental health issues basically. And when we talk about healing through colors, anyone who's using dark, like black, more darker shades basically.
Right.
So darker shades reflects a kind of a pain. More blue reflect emotions,
Right.
that so much of emotion. And if and the kind of pictures, the kind of paintings, the kind of shapes, the kind of uh, you know the kind of expression that comes out, it reflects the mental state. The more green, the more yellow are the positive colors.
Right. Right.
And also, when we if you have noticed, when we do some painting, it reflects how observant we are, how mindful we are, how present we are in our surroundings, or the kind of imagination that is coming on paper, on canvas, that reflects our inner world to the outer world. And that is what I believe, that when we allow our creativity, this is one form, through paintings, through colors. Music is another, a very good way of allowing your creativity, allowing your energy to flow. And the more we restrict, the more kind of energy blocks we create. And the more we allow it freely flow, the more abundance we invite, of happiness and freedom. So that's how it relates.
Wow. That's
I
how
know
it relates.
it's a very different kind of a aspect of looking at mental health, but it really, really, it's interconnected. It's completely interconnected, and there are many research and many studies who has actually, endorsed it. If
Right.
you get a chance to go deeper, you may find some doctors or some researchers sharing this, that pharma and non-pharma, uh, like non-pharmacological kind of approach they take while addressing the mental health issues in any person. So it's not only the medical approach that works completely, and it's not only the non medical approach heals a person, but it's a good combination of hand in hand. It's not just the medicines, and if it's not just the you kind of a kind of a healing touch. So both the things are required. Medical intervention is definitely required, evidence based, looking at the kind of situation the person is going through and how far the damage has been already done, how it has to be reversed. But my way of looking at it, that love is the most powerful energy in the universe, which is freely available. And when we have children at our home, when we have the elderly people or anybody in our family, where we acknowledge that something is not right. If you observe that someone is withdrawing himself or herself, we should immediately interact, we should communicate. But in our current scenario, the social media has actually taken up a lot of space. My daughter was preparing for one of her speech in school a few days ago, and I observed her reciting one line, that social media has impacted our personal relations. you know it has connected us to the world, but it has disconnected to the person sitting next to us, and a person who should be loved more. So this is also contributing majorly to the mental health. You're on mute. You're on
If
mute, Benjamin. Yeah.
I just went on mute because I was just soaking in what that you're telling us or that you share with us. I didn't want to make a noise to interrupt you. Right. If you're joining us, you're welcome to the Power Impact Series show where today we are with Shailza, all the way from India, giving us a wonderful interpretation of color code. And this is for you. Kolanot says, you really need to write a book on child mental health because these color codes and interpretations I've only heard once elsewhere and wasn't as expansive as you just did. It explains why blue is the color for many social media platforms because blue is a social color and we more comfortable interacting with blue. Also, why some telcos use red, love is red, and care is pink. Thanks so much, Mother. Thank you so much, Kola. Thank you for that. I'm sure she's doing that already, or she has a book she's going to talk to us about. Thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus Taki, joining us all the way from Dallas, Texas, USA. He says, I'm watching you from Dallas. Thank you so much. And he says,
Thank
mental
you.
health issue is a big deal now, especially under this world economic distress. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me know who is online with me. Just hit me in the chat area. Let me know who is joining me online. If you have any questions for Shailza, this is the time you can bring it up, and then whilst we move on with our discussion, she can pick it up for you. Right. So, yes, you mentioned that when you see children isolating themselves,
Yeah.
this is the time for you to step in. Now, what about the ones that you don't really see it? You don't really recognize it at an early stage. By the time you realize it has actually escalated to a high point. How do you do that? In some of the schools, you don't have smaller size class numbers that the teacher is able to really focus on each student. You have a lot of students in there. So sometimes it's a bit difficult for the teacher to realize this. How do you then go about that? How do you identify or get to see that this child is actually crawling into his own shell or is withdrawing so that you can step in to find out and then do further investigation to find out what really is wrong with this child? I mean, your experience that you had working with children on this level.
Benjamin, what I understand is, um, as we're talking about self care, is very much important. If you see that the child is not getting enough sleep, the child is not eating properly, not taking the balanced diet, forget about the balanced diet, not even eating properly, and there is no regular exercise kind of a pattern being followed, lethargic, this definitely shows a kind of a sign which a parent or anybody who's a caretaker should actually see, notice that this is like a kind of a small age group child, you can understand. And also, if the child is not happily interacting, withdrawing himself or herself, these are some of the signs which can help you to identify at a very initial stage. If someone is very open in talking, and all of a sudden, if you see some sort of behavior change, we should not neglect it at all. Not at all. And one more thing I would like to share, Benjamin. Normally, children, I'm talking about the young children, uh, before the adolescent age they touch. So, in that age group, if you see when children come from school, from any activity, when they go out and play, when they come back, they are like flooded and loaded with the energy which they want to share. And at that time, if they don't get that kind of the compassionate listening, the kind of touch that they want, the kind of ear to their stories and everything, it is very much important. If they are not getting that kind of a support, trust me, slowly and gradually they withdraw. That's a very, very initial sign which we can understand that something is bothering them. Something is is definitely happening, which he or may she may not be happy about. So a good heart to heart conversation is very much needed, very much needed. That was my observation and understanding and experience is. And when we talk about the adolescent age group, that's a time where hormones are changing, when a lot of different kind of thoughts are coming, love is in the air for them is happening, and and a kind of a relationship issue starts pouring. And children, as we talk about the cybersecurity and social media as well, so children, they think that they can isolate themselves and they can do some activities which they may delete. So, and this is also a time of bullying, cyberbullying happening. Bullying is happening at the school level as well, among friends as well. There are some sort of peer pressures on them as well. So these kind of changes are coming in their life at that time. This is definitely very much important for elderly people, for their parents, for their teachers, for their caretakers, to observe what is happening. It's not basically not a kind of a micromanagement, I would say, because micromanagement will also contribute to the mental stress. So that balance is required. How much of management we are doing, which is not seen as micromanagement by that adolescent child, basically. So that heart to heart conversation, that connect is very much needed. That support is very much needed. That love and that caringness, that nurturingness is needed to a limit. That sometimes the youth, the youngsters, they say that it's like too much of caring, too much of being motherly. I go to my son's school, and I will share it with you for sure, Benjamin. He was going on
Go
a
on,
school
go on, go on.
he was going on a school trip. It is just, I think, 1 or 2 years ago, right before the COVID happened. He had a school trip, and before saying bye to him, I just hugged him, and he said, "Mama, I'm standing in my school." So I said, "Oh my God!" So he said, "I'm grown up. I'm a big boy now." So I said, "Okay, so that means I have to express, but differently." So
Right.
during my own journey of being a mother, from my own motherhood experiences, I also learned that, okay, with the age, it's a different expression, it's a different way of handling. And
Right.
to keep them happy, to keep them chirpy, to keep them eating well, to keep them talking to you. And it's not that always we go to talk to them, but we need to create an environment where they come and talk to us with that confidence, with that trust, with that love, with that openness, and with that courage, that even if they do anything wrong, we
Right.
have a kind of a safe space. When a
That's
person
good.
feels safe, I
Right.
am safe, I am safe, is a feeling that actually gives you mental balance. When you feel that I am not safe, when the fear arises, from there, I believe that situations starts getting into the negative zone. I hope you agree with me.
I perfectly agree with you. Thank you. You need a mental balance. And then, hey, you need to express your creativity on different levels because, yes, the child was 3 years some time ago. Your way of expressing love and talking to that child differs when that child is around 6 years. And that is what we're talking about, how we express our way and our feelings to the children and to be able to understand them and be able to adjust and help when they are going off the track, especially when they are recovering, so we can actually get things out of them and be able to help the corrective measures at an early stage. Thank you so much. This is powerful. And thank you so much for those that are joining us online. I'm really appreciative of all that you're doing. Thank you for the likes, the comments, and then the shares that are going on because we need to push this to other people elsewhere. Right? Don't go anywhere. Stick around. I'll be back shortly after this.
Need a spark to kickstart your innovation? Looking for thought and talks to get things moving? Wondering how to navigate a future full of change and uncertainty? With the eye-opening stories of digital disruption, extreme customer centricity, organizational innovation, and global shift, our collective of speakers, MCs, and moderators will shift your perspective. Meet our speakers. For booking and interviews, contact us on 0246 054092 or send us a mail info.accessnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on all social media channels at AccessNet Global, African Seasoned Speakers Network, influencing the next generation of Africans.
Influencing the next generation of Africans, that's what we seek to do, and that's all we're doing here. And today we are here on the Power Impact Series show with Shailza, Taneja, all the way from India, and the founder of Creative Expression. So, how should your expressions towards the child be creative? How creative should one when expressing their thoughts, when expressing their observations about the child? How should that be done? You made mention of the drawings, the colors, and all that in the initial presentation. But how should that be done? How should the creative expression be done or be given to children to be able to let them open up and share with you? How do you do that? Since you are the founder of Creative Expression, we want to know how that can be done. You want to tell us how that can be done so we can also learn.
Definitely. Though under creative expression, we have a lot of initiatives planned. One I mentioned about the women and girls who are from vulnerable communities and marginalized communities. So one is that. Another one is definitely I have a very strong focus on children, again related to mental health. For this, it's a kind of workshops and specially designed sessions for the children that we are going to take forward as in a very playful environment, and definitely uh, understanding them through colors. What kind of colors they pick up, they choose, they use, also express what is going in their mind, what is happening, the kind of pictures that they draw. If you see children drawing guns, war situations, which, and also I would like to mention, Benjamin, this in this current scenario, children have an access, actually over access to social media. So they see and they get an exposure to many things which are beyond their age years. Many times it happens that there are certain content which is not applicable or not appropriate to their age, but they do get an access to it somehow, and
Okay.
they, that has an impact on their mind. So, what exactly they are observing, what they are absorbing, and what they are reflecting can definitely be understood through these kind of workshops. Very small, very short, because children, they don't they have that energy. They can't sit for so long. So it has to be a very playful, very interactive kind of a sessions with them to understand what is going on. Sometimes it happens that when I talk to these small kids, and it's like a very open heart to heart discussion, they actually reflect many things. Unfortunately, sometimes the family is going through certain phases in life. If it's a broken family, if it is so I would, from this, through this channel, I would also like to share one key observation which I had in the last few years is, many times parents, they split. It definitely impacts child's mental health, not only mental health but emotional health, psychologically, in many ways. But that doesn't mean that staying together is a solution,
Right.
because I have also seen those cases where people are staying together but actually not together. it also impacts. It also impacts. And it is not that the child is not observing. They
Yeah.
do. And they feel the energy in the house. And they are not happy child at all. Irrespective of having mother and father under the same roof, but they are not happy. So it is not a mantra of staying together means happy family or a happy child or a happy, mind or a happy whatever. No. And sometimes children do understand that their parents were not compatible, so they are staying in different houses, but children have access to both the parents.
No. True.
So what I'm trying to say is that as parent, definitely we should keep a check on ourselves what we are giving to them. Are we just creating an environment which is false? Or we are giving them happiness means happiness. So through certain activities and just through interaction, some kids I observed who were not at all opening up initially, but later on they were chatterbox because they felt comfortable. They felt a comfort zone. And then they talked about endlessly about the toys, about the colors that they love, about the dresses, about the food, about the places, everything. Which means that the child is not a kind of a silent child, is not unhappy child, but he or she need the comfort zone to open up.
Right. Right.
So every child is different.
Right.
Every person is different. Every person has a unique gift. That's what I strongly believe. And if we are not respecting or not identifying our unique gifts that we have, we are not able to give our unique expression to the world. That's what I really, really believe. And somewhere, it's a lack. I also would like to share one of the incidents from my life. While I was working, like for long hours, basically, and I used to send my children off to school. And by the time I used to come, my daughter, who was 4 or 5 years of age at that time, many times she was asleep. I used to pick my children from my parents' place. My daughter was like almost half asleep or almost slept. So I used to, carry her on my shoulder and go to home. So I'm not getting time spent with her. Then there was a phase when I was extensively traveling. According to me, I was sharing and, caring, and I was loving. I was doing everything. But there was a day when my daughter, she was very touchy, very touchy. I didn't know what happened to her. For everything she was crying. For everything she was crying. I thought she's cranky or what is happening. And that day I learned a very big lesson, actually a very big lesson of life.
Right.
uh, I said, if something is bothering you, something is hurting you, you are unwell, what is it? She said, Mama, I don't know, but I feel like crying. So I said, please express more. And she said, I think this is lack of love, lack of your love. And I hugged her. And, I really learned that day that we can express our love in our own manner by giving everything, by facilitating all, what is required through materialistic, uh, everything. But that touch of, a mother to the child, and being together, spending time together, eating a meal together.
Right.
And why I'm talking all this, Benjamin? Because this all contributes to mental health at all levels. All levels. This is very closely I have seen and I have observed, and I strongly believe that half of our illness, half of the diseases and illnesses that people go through, if a person is loved, if the person is supported by the family, by the friends, you know and by the loved ones, whichever way it is possible, they recover fast.
Right. Right.
They
True.
back bounce in a very unbelievable situations. The recovery is very much fast because that kind of a message goes to your mind. No? And
True.
if a person is hospitalized or person is not feeling well, and he or she is also picking up that kind of energy that, you know, nobody's there to care that much, that person will definitely deteriorate.
Right. It's
Whereas
love.
who is, yes, who is loved, who is well taken care of, who has somebody next to hold the hand, I believe in that energy. I believe in that energy. I've seen it very, very closely. And this is one key message I want to give to the world, that love is the most powerful energy in the universe. Be compassionate, be kind, be generous, and be human, please. That's very, very important. I have been a part of a committee at a workplace uh, where we were talking about cultural, cultural differences, cultural changes. A lot of things were happening, and that was also an exposure uh, to actually understand what was affecting people's mental health at workplace. When it is a toxic kind of an environment, and people are continue working there because they will lose the job, and the money that is helping them to run the house is actually critical.
Yeah.
And a few days ago, I wrote an article on mental health. Very boldly, I said what I wanted to. Is basically, yes, very, 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 very courageously, I did mention about it, that people who are, who actually, who are toxic, basically. Let me be very honest, that people who are manipulative, who are toxic, who are micromanaging, I think somewhere they themselves are in pain. Something is there in their roots that has made them like this. And they are further giving the pain to
Right.
others.
Love it. So,
That is not just impacting the other person's mental health, but sooner or later, their own mental health will definitely be affected and impacted.
wow.
Because we always say that we can pour what we have. So what you have filled your cup with, that is the only thing you can pour. So if your own cup is filled with negativity, is filled with toxicity, is filled with all kind of bulliness, what that person is
Very
going to
true.
pour the same thing to the other person, which means it's not, mental health is not an area to give advice to others, but also to do some sort of self reflection. Some sort of self reflection is required, very much required. Do I need to accept my negative areas and work on it as a person, as a human? Because we do see this happening at a family level, at a community level, at every level. And you won't believe, Benjamin, after that post, I received so many messages and so many calls from people telling me, uh, like there was a mother who called me, her daughter is not comfortable to go and play because she is being bullied by other children in the playground near their home. So this is happening in the neighborhood. A mother cannot go and and support the child all the time. So this is a kind of a bullying happening in the play area. Then we see workplace issues. I received a call from a person who was 40 years plus, and he said that he has a lot of health issues because of the toxic environment he's working in. So I told him, I said, please take a right decision and a wise decision. Then why? Then again, the concern is job, which means somewhere we are giving space. And I suggested him, that what is one thing that you are very fond of? What is one thing that you love to do? And then he said, oh, yes, this is what I have not done for ages. So I said, see, you have missed your own creative expression that can give you happiness, that can give you air, that can give you oxygen. You are not doing something which gives you happiness. So you have filled your day with work only, and your responsibilities only, and your commitments only. But that one thing that gives you happiness is missing.
That one thing that keeps you happy or brings your happiness to life is missing. I'll just have to push this one up before I forget. So it's from Shailza. Taneja said, love is the most powerful energy in the world. Yes, because and you can't pour what you don't have inside. You bring out what you have inside. So if you feel with bitterness, you're going to pour bitterness. If you feel the bullet, you're going to pour bullet. If you feel the anger, you're going to pour out. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful nuggets with us. Right. So before we let you come in with your last words that you want to share with us, please get ready with your hashtag for today's episode. You know what we do? We always have a hashtag for the day's episode. So please start sending in your hashtag. Let's compare notes. Let's see if maybe all our hashtags are tallying, or if we have different hashtags so that we can share it with ourselves. So keep pushing your hashtags in. And if you've not introduced yourself, let us know who is online with us as well. And then we can also give you some shout outs and welcome you to join us. Right. So before your final words, we want to find out, right? Um, do you have any upcoming event? Do you have anything you're doing? Do you have something you coming about doing with creative expressions? And then again, how can people get to you? What are your social media handles or your pages that people can follow? And then keep on getting this wonderful wisdom nuggets from you so you can share it with us so our audience can get to know.
Definitely. The very first thing that is being planned is a very small workshop to understand the creative expression, and people who are interested to identify their own creative expression, first of all. So I will be conducting an online session, and those who are interested can send me a message, can connect to me, and let's be in our own comfort zone, in our own safe space, with lots of energy, with lots of positivity, with lots of happiness, and connecting with heart, which is more important, which is really important, as a kind of a missing link in our community these days. So I will announce my first online workshop very soon. Anybody who is interested, who wants to explore his or her own creative expression, and people who are already, they have identified that one unique expression of their own. Please feel free to share it on our during our workshop that is being planned very soon. And thank you so much. So in this world of technology, in this world of common things that are happening, I'm trying to do something which we are lacking, that is to connect to ourselves first, and connect with humanity, with the human heart, and give that gift that God has given you, that universe has given you, your own creative expression. Share it with the world. We all have a very limited time on this planet. We don't know for how long. So love yourself and spread positivity all around for everybody's good mental health.
Wow. Right, Kola says, yeah, we dwell too much on what's putting us down mentally and forgetting to do what makes us happy most. Unleash your creativity. Thanks, man, for the reminder. Happiness is free. And then he comes back to say, please, I am in. Let's express our way. So, so Kula is in. Thank you so much. Kula is in. Kula is in with that. Yes, 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 yes. You have to express it in. And who again? Afia says it's been very educative. Thank you so much, Afia, for also joining. And then who else is here? Let's bring it out. Let's bring it out before we close the session because it's been a wonderful session. Right. So are you ready for the hashtag for today? I think today we have a lot of hashtags. So we're going to pull it all together. We're going to give it all to Shailza. We have a lot of uh, hashtags. So let your hashtag come. Bring them in. But before that, oh, very informative and educative from Acacia. Thank you so much. Right. So we have two. We have it here. Okay. Yeah, we have two hashtags for today, and I'm sure more are going to come. So the first one is to learn and to end. That's our first hashtag. And our second hashtag is your own creative expression. So we did a creative expression just as the founder has for her foundation or has for her organization, which is creative expression. Yeah. And then Kola says, be happy. Keep the hashtags coming in. Keep the hashtags coming in. And now don't go. You can't go. Just have to take just a little bit of tidbits from Cyber Bells, and then we'll come back for Shailza to give us her closing remarks, and then we are off the day. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about something that is happening. So this is tips from Cyber Bells. We're taking some tips from Cyber Bells, and today we are talking about this bypassing two-factor authentication. There are a lot of people keep calling and keep saying that my social media page, specifically WhatsApp, Facebook, or any other one, has been taken over by hackers. Some people have taken over my account, but I've implemented two-step or two-factor authentication. So how did it happen? Yes, a lot of people coming with these questions and want to find out what happened before their account was taken. Yes, now this is how it happens. You know, two-factor authentication is a second layer of security that you add up to your online account. So this is how it happens. So when you log into your online account and you input your password, because you've implemented two-factor authentication, it sends a code to your assigned device, being to your email address or your phone. So you receive a text message and then you go ahead and then input that message or that code. Then you have access to your account. Now, these bad guys or the hackers, this is what they do. Before they want to take over those accounts of yours, your online account, they first try the brute force, try it, and then they will be prompted to input the code that has been sent to your device because you've implemented your two-factor authentication. And when they realize that, they abort the process. Now, what they do is that once they are able to get your number, they call you or they send you a text message. And these are some of the ways they send a text message, crafty ways. They go about this, it's this way. They say, you know what? Hello, I was a former user of this number that you are using, but I traveled for some time out of the country. And when I came back, I realized that my phone number or the same number has been assigned to you. But I implemented two-factor authentication on my email account, but I've forgotten my password. I'm trying to log into my account and I'm not being able to do that because it is keeping on sending the code to this number that you are using. Can you do me this favor? I'm going to try once again. And please, when the code is sent to your device, kindly send this code to me so that I can have access to my email account. You are a very good person. So you will just say, all right, go ahead, do it. When the code comes, I will send it to you. Then they go and say thank you. Then they initiate the attack on your online account. The moment they do that, the code is going to be sent to your device because you've implemented two-factor authentication. Then, because of the earlier conversation this person has had with you, you quickly send or forward the code to them. That is when you give yourself up. That is the moment that you give full access control of your online account to this bad person. Then they come back to say, thank you, you are a lifesaver. And you say, you're welcome. And that's the end of you having your access to that account, that online account. Then they take over. Yes, you have implemented two-factor authentication on it, but they are always finding a way to bypass and go around and get your account. So the next time you get those text messages, next time you get those emails, next time you get those conversations that they have changed their numbers, they were not in and whatever, just tell them to contact their telco or their telecommunication provider so that they can rectify it with them. Because the moment you give out those codes, you have given access to your online account to them. Thank you very much. And thank you so much. Do we have Shailza around to give us her closing remarks? Yes, so Shailza, do you have any closing remarks you want to give to us before we end the show?
Thank you so much to everyone, and thank you so much for Benjamin. It's been a very, a very kind of a transparent, I must say, of who we are, and very genuinely connecting to everybody. This is a kind of a free flow energy, which Benjamin had already told me that this is what he really creates, that it doesn't have to be planned, it has to be the way it is. Like I said, our creative expression. This is what we are, who we are, and we embrace our uniqueness. So the tagline which I want to give is embrace your uniqueness.
Right. Right.
Thank you.
Embrace your uniqueness. Thank you so much. And as we always say, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a wonderful time. It has been a powerful insight into mental health and wellness. And we pick it from children point of view, attacking it at an early stage to help them work. So thank you so much. Embracing or embrace your uniqueness. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you everyone that joined, everyone that shared, everyone that liked. We want to say thank you so much. It has been a wonderful time. And as I always say, dreams are in levels. Make sure you get to the top level of your dream. So we'll meet next time, next week, same time on the same platform. It is goodness for me, Ambassador Benjamin. We'll meet next week. Have a wonderful week and goodbye.